Welcome to Tuesdays with Andrea. It's the inspiration station for everyday people guiding humanity forward. I'm your host, Andrea Rios McMillan, and every week I pursue conversations that matter with people who can relate to the common struggles we all face. You'll get to know the person behind the profession and find commonality with people of all ages, cultures, and backgrounds. Listen as friends, neighbors, and coworkers offer meaningful, personal explorations of modern life and the values we hold dear, all for the purpose of strengthening and uplifting others. Ericka Polanco-Webb is a stay-at-home mom and entrepreneur who is creating her own career lane while coordinating the chaos of managing a blended and special needs family of 7. Ericka is a motherhood journalist and contributing writer for Chicago Parent and creator of the multimedia brand Sinking Heels of Motherhood blog and podcast. In this episode, I connect with Ericka to talk about her motherhood experiences from being a teen mom to now being a special needs mom and a multicultural mom, along with having toddlers and teenagers and being a tech mom as well as a co-parenting mom. My focus is trying to understand, how does she do it all? What are the pillars of support that help her thrive? And how does she take care of herself and find ways to get so much done with kids at home? I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I think we're recording, Ericka. Yeah. Welcome, Ericka Polanco-Webb, to
Thank
Tuesdays
you.
with Andrea podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. This is so exciting.
So I met Ericka through Louis, her husband, who is fraternity brothers with John, my husband. We're all in college at the same time. Just so happened, John and I also had a kid in college. Louis had a kid in college. She just took that role of mom to Jay and Lily. And considering Jay was also special needs, that is a huge commitment. I mean, huge commitment. And she came in and she just did this role like none other. And there is no substitute for mom. But I do want to say with Ericka, she has just been such a phenomenal mom and partner to Louis, who is one of my husband's best friends. And then on top of that, she had her own daughter at the time, Jayla. And so you have this family of 5 now, this modern day family, like party of 5, blended family, trying to just figure things out. 1 child special needs, and then 2 teenagers, who both girls, right? That's where they're at right now. And then they have 2 other kids. Yeah. Now they have 2 little ones. So you have the bigger ones, and then you have the little ones, and the little ones are so cute. 2 little girls. And then in the midst of all of this, so the last 15 years, she's just raising these children, getting her home life in order, helping Louis. And then she goes and gets her master's, like in secret. I don't know how she does that. And then she starts her own business, her consulting business, because she's a knowledge now on everything child special needs education, support systems, support structures for families. She's phenomenal resource for this. But then also she starts her own events planning business. And then now she's getting into journalism, and she's a bona fide mommy expert and journalist, and then now newbie podcaster as well, putting out her content and creating her own brand, which is Sinking Heels of Motherhood. So I know that intro was very long and probably not sufficient, Ericka, for the work that you do, but you are modern day superwoman, and I am utterly fascinated by you, and that's why I'm so happy that you're on the show.
Thank you. No, it's so funny when I hear people talking about me. I'm like, is that me? But I'm so humbled and so thankful that you asked me to do this, and you said all those kind things. It's true, you guys. We have 5 kids. 3 are teenagers now. 2 are toddlers. Our son Jay has severe cerebral palsy, quadriplegia, severe mental retardation, and he's nonverbal, so he doesn't walk or talk. And then we have an 8th grader, we have a junior in high school, we have a 4-year-old, and then we have a 2-year-old, and we have a dog. And so it's a busy house, and it's a busy house too because we're a blended family. So because Louis has his 2 kids from a previous relationship, I have 1 kid from a previous relationship. We literally are a family that have to report to, it's 6 parents involved because my ex is married, his ex is married. And so you have these, 3 kids that, we have to plan and coordinate things amongst 6 adults. And so it is a very busy household, but we make it work.
So when you guys have to plan things, right, with the kids, do you guys just have to get your calendars out in the beginning of the year? Like, okay, you have spring break, you have Christmas, or I have to work this time, or this is busy season for me. How does that work with scheduling and communicating? How do you guys, I mean, it's hard for me and my husband to communicate, and it's just one other adult.
Yeah.
Like to go through four other people included.
Yeah. Yeah. So, communication is a huge piece of this. And so when the year starts, we actually start putting things in a calendar. So we'll schedule doctor's appointments, days out of school, all that kind of stuff. We use Google Calendar, but there's some awesome co-parenting apps out there. You can use Cozy. You can use, I think it's called, what is another one? Talking Parents and Two Houses. There's a bunch of them out there. We use Google Calendar just because it's easier for us, but we add things to the calendar. We do on and off, like one year you have this, the other year you have this, or sometimes it's just like, okay, we'll always do spring break, and then midway through the spring break they come back to you, or that particular year we have them the full spring break, and then we make it up in some other kind of way. And again, this is based on as long as both households or all 3 households agree, but usually we don't have much of a problem there, but we do have to do a lot of planning, a lot of scheduling, a lot of communicating, a lot of times over communicating things, because when you don't over communicate, things kind of get lost in translation. So it is in that sense, it can get complicated. Mm-hmm. But I think it's what we have found that's most important is to make sure that you communicate things and, just be respectful of the other household, and try to plan as efficiently and effective as possible. Because the reality of it is that, we have our thing that we're doing over here and we're planning for, and they have their thing over there that they're planning for, and then they have their thing over there that they're planning for, but you want to make sure that you respect everyone's homes, everyone's marriage, and just give people grace, where it's needed. And so that's kind of the role that we have taken. I would say we're probably the hub because we have the kids most of the time. And so, we're the ones that make a lot of the plans and kind of say, hey, this is what's going on over here, to this family. And then we say, hey, this is what's going on over here to that family. And that's just how it's been. It's been working to this point. And so that's how we do it.
And okay, so did you guys always get along? Because it sounds like you guys have a pretty good communication process right now. Did you guys always get along? Was there ever a point of like, hey, we're having some issues here?
Yeah, so I'll definitely say, if you're looking for like this perfect story, that's not our story. Just to be just completely honest with you, it's a lot of growing pains. It's a lot of learning, and we did not always get along. We didn't always agree. We still don't agree on everything. But I think the way that we kind of take this thing is we think about what's more important for the kids, right? So we put our needs in front of the kids. It's not really about us. This is about what works for the kids, what's in the best interest of the kid. And that's how we make the decisions. And even though some of it, the other household may not completely agree, then we have to put that back on you and say, hey, but what do you think is appropriate for the child? What do you think, is in the best interest of Jayla? And that's how we do it. But no, we didn't always agree. We still don't always agree on everything. And we have, because the reality of it is that each household runs differently, right? We have our way of running things and doing things. They have their way, and none of it is the same. Yeah. But I will say we have gotten to a place where, especially with my daughter's father, we went to his wedding. They invited us to their wedding, and a lot of people are like, "Wow, you guys went to their wedding?" And it was like, yeah, I actually forget sometimes that it's like a baby mama, baby daddy situation. I feel like her dad is like my cousin. I've been knowing him since I was, oh my gosh, like 16.
Yeah.
So at this point in the game, I've been with my husband longer than when I was with him. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it doesn't feel, it's not, there's no tension, and it's very comfortable. I love his wife. She's a really wonderful person. And, that's kind of how we are, with them. So with Lewis's children's mom, I think with them, it's a little bit different because, she's a mom. Okay. And so she has her 2 children that's living here with us, so it's that's a lot. And I think I give her the utmost respect for even, doing that, because it does take a lot. I can't imagine really doing it myself,
Yeah.
This is our situation. But, of course, there's going to be some things that she feels that, we don't do in the way that she would like. But I would say overall, we typically agree on a lot of things. I've been in the picture for so long at this point. So it's kind of like, okay, I trust Ericka. I know Ericka has the kids' best interest at heart. I may not care for whatever, personally, but I know that when it comes to the children, that, she's spot on. She's making sure that she's doing the right thing for them. And so that's really the most important part.
And explain your and Lewis's living dynamic now, because I know you touched on it a little bit, but just give us a good overview of like, what is your guys' situation now? You guys have been married now for a long time.
Lewis and I have been married. It'll be 6 years in July. But we've been living together for, I don't even know, you guys. I think it's been close to a decade, honestly. Now that I think about it. Or over a decade. And so we have the children. Well, my daughter is here with me 100% of the time. She used to go to her dad's house on the weekends, but the only reason why she doesn't do that every week is because she's older now. She has a car, she has her own schedule. So it's not nothing shady or anything like that. It's just that she's growing up, she's her senior year. So, she's busy. She has her things that she does, but she's still busy and that kind of thing. And then with Jay and Lily, with the kids, we keep them Monday through Friday, and then they go to their mom's house for the weekend, and they go to school from over here. So that's how we do everything. And as far as like things for Jay, as far as like doctor's appointments, all that kind of thing, we coordinate that together. And it's a lot of times I take him to the doctor's office most often because I think I'm the only one out of all the parents that don't work or don't have to clock into a job because I have to stay at home. So there's a lot of that, but like hospitalizations, that kind of thing. We do a tag team when it comes to that. So that's why I said that we're the hub, because we have the kids 95% of the time.
Okay. And Lily's going into freshman year. And for Jay, explain his health situation and his physical ability and limitations.
Yes. So Jay is quadriplegia, which means he has no functionality of any of his limbs. He is nonverbal, so he does not talk. So basically, Jay cannot talk, he cannot walk, he cannot feed himself. He is fed through a feeding tube, which is called a G tube. He is very medically complex. He has a lot of different things going on, like he's legally blind, but he has impeccable hearing. And also, he understands everything completely. So a lot of people see him and they like, does he understand or can he understand? Yes, he understands. He will let you know that he understands. He gets upset. He acts like a typical teenager as far as like having an attitude, wanting to be in his room.
He has food preferences.
He has his preferences, that kind of thing, as far as like his, emotions and behaviors in that regard. It's the typical 17-year-old thing. He wants to be in his room. He doesn't want people to come in his room. He wants to listen to the music he wants to listen to. He doesn't like for anyone, especially his dad, to sing along with the music. It irritates him for some reason.
Yeah.
He likes rap and things like that. So, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So Jayla is a June. So Jayla and Jay are the same age. Well,
okay.
Jay is older, but they're in the same grade. So Jayla and Jay are in the same grade. A lot of people are like, are they twins? But they're in the same grade. So they're both juniors in high school. They'll be seniors. And then Lily is an 8th grader, and she will be matriculating into freshman year.
Got it. Okay. So then for her, yes, you're right. The 8th grade year, it's your last year with your friends in junior high. How is she dealing with that?
You know what? It's so weird. So like disappointed, yes, but can I say that she's like completely like, depressed about it and all of that? No. And I think it's because you look forward to it, but then you don't even really know what it really is. And so it's kind of one of those things where, they say you can't miss what you've never had. I think, yes, there's a yearning to want that, but it's not like she's depressed about it.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll really hit later on. But I can tell you right now, she seems fine.
Okay, so that's Lily. And then you have the little girls, and we just had a birthday party. And you had two back to back almost. How is this?
So, it's different. It's different because they have completely different personalities than Jayla and Lily had. So, these last two are very rambunctious. They're very outspoken. That's why you can hear them now. Versus Lily and Jayla, where they were quiet. You can sit them down. They play with their toys, and it's fine. Like, you can literally leave them. Whereas these two little things, they're not like that at all. So, it's different in that regard. But I will say the blessing in all of it is that I am able to enjoy them more. I'm able to really appreciate having little kids more because I have the time, and now I have the wisdom. I know what it's like to be, a working single mom. I know what it's like to be, a working mom having to, hurry up and pick them up from daycare and then, hurry and return home and cook meals. And so I've experienced that life before. So now I'm a lot more grateful. I'm a lot more just full, at the capacity that I can love on them and be present for them in ways that I wasn't necessarily able to be with Jayla in those early years. And so I just, it's different in the sense that they're busybodies and all that kind of stuff, but it's actually been fun to do this again and almost kind of have like this second chance because now I know a lot more, and I feel like I have even much more to give. And so, I'm grateful for that experience, especially because I didn't have a baby for like 13 years. And so, but thankfully I didn't have any issues, and I had them back to back, 2 years to the day. My two youngest have the same birthday.
So at what point did you make it a priority to start your own business?
When the economy collapsed back in, what was that, 08, 09, that time I got laid off from my job. And so I was working as an advertising analyst at an advertising agency. I got laid off. I kind of looked for a job a little bit, and then I was like, I'm going to start doing PR myself. And so I did that. I did that for some celebrities. I went to the Grammys. It was really fun. I spent a lot of time in LA. But then my relationship got really serious with Lewis. And then we got these kids who, they're growing up. And so my social, that kind of social piece that comes with PR, it just was a lot to keep up when I have these kids. And, we're really trying to build this home and this future together. And so I started stepping away from it slowly and just started, doing more consulting things. And so that's kind of how I landed doing consulting gigs more so than doing the PR gigs. So my company, Ready Image, has been around for 10 years now. And so that's how it came to be. And then I decided to blog because,
you're like, might as well.
And that's where it all started, was with your blog. But going back to where your relationship with Lewis was getting serious, were you ever scared about committing to family with special needs?
You know what? No, and probably because it's the way that things manifested, it was like over time. So everything, it started to blend into one another. Initially, the setup was not that we had Lewis's two kids it wasn't that we didn't have them the way that we have them now. So we didn't have them Monday through Friday. We play with the schedule let me just say, we play with the schedule a lot of different ways, you guys. This is not like an easy type of thing. We did various different kinds of schedule changes where we did, 1 week at one house, the next week at the other house. We did Saturday, we did like a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you have the weekend, and then the next week you have the weekend. I mean, we tried a lot of different things. And so this just worked out because we moved a better school district. And so those kind of things were the driving forces behind us having the kids Monday through Friday.
Okay. And then from there, you guys just become a family.
Yeah.
And then you start.
I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared at all because it happened over time and it wasn't like something that happened immediately. So, you kind of have time to work your way into this. And so for us and for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. Like, okay, they'll live with us full time because, we are, our school district is better than the other parents. And it just makes more sense. There's more things for them to do at this school and more support for Jay, especially. So those were kind of the driving forces behind it. But I can assure you, I was not, for some crazy reason, I just was not scared.
You're like, no.
I was already committed at that point. And I think that that's what it is. I was already committed to it. So.
And what is it about Lewis that was like, this is the man. This is it.
So, he's first of all, his fathering, right? So
yeah.
I'm coming
he's
from
a phenomenal. Oh my God.
Yes. So I'm coming from a relationship. I have a kid. And so that's a priority for me, is making sure I find somebody that's in tune with their children if they have them, and just finding someone that I feel can complement me, especially where I was currently. And so that was the case for Lewis. Even though I was still in college and he was out of college, I knew what I wanted, and I knew what I wanted moving forward. And so, there was a lot of things I was very forthcoming about, like wanting to be a stay-at-home mom. I was very forthcoming about wanting to own my own business. I really was forthcoming about it. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but he was very supportive. He always was like my little cheerleader, cheering me on, all those kinds of things. And he just really was like a pillar of support. And I appreciated some things that he was strong in that I knew I wasn't strong in, which was like money, finances. That wasn't my strong suit. I knew it was not. Plus, he's 6 years my senior. So, of course, there's a stability factor that comes with that. So I knew that he was, in a stable place. He had a great career. He was very, into his career. And he had an entrepreneurial spirit as well.
Oh, yeah.
I felt that it was, it just worked really well. We complemented each other really well. And so...
I think everybody who knows you guys can see that. And then from there, so now you guys build your life, and then you're starting your consulting and your blogging and journalism. Tell me about the start of your professional career as it is now. Let's start with how it began. What was the reason that made you go from, hey, I'm a stay-at-home mom and I'm killing it as a stay-at-home mom. I do this really well. It takes all your time. We both know being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job, a lot of work, and probably the most respected job out there. But it is a job, and especially with Jay, you're doing the bulk of all of the appointments and the medical. That is all on you. How do you even get the capacity to do something else? Where does that come from?
It's so crazy. So I have impeccable faith. I pray, and I lean on God for a lot of things. And I'm just very optimistic and very comfortable when it comes to mothering. It's something that, you hear this thing where people say, oh, I always want to be a mother. I really did. I always wanted to be a mom. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So this was not something that was new for me. And neither was, the entrepreneur spirit. So when I started the blog, I stopped because I didn't want to be another mom. I didn't want to be another mommy blogger. And so I came back to it because I do have a passion for writing. I do enjoy writing. And I just took it and I decided to run with it. I have put on blinders when it comes to other mommy bloggers. Oh my gosh, not the dog. I put on blinders when it comes to other mommy bloggers, and I just stay the course and focus on, my content, what I'm talking about, and, just hope that it touches and reaches another mom and it helps her in some way. A lot of mommy bloggers I've found are new moms, right? And so I'm like, I'm not a new mom. I can definitely talk about motherhood and parenting. And then I was like, oh, I could talk about special needs. And it's like, oh, they're teenagers now. I could talk about being, teens. And then it's like, oh, I have more kids. So now we can talk about toddlers. And so it became like the gift that kept on giving it in a way. And so I just felt that I could use my voice. I can help other parents and just share this knowledge that I have instead of just keeping it all in. Because what ended up happening was a lot of my friends would come to me for advice. Ericka, what do you think about this? Or Ericka, should I do that? And, all of this advice I was giving, I felt that I should put some of it on paper, and I should, just
Yeah.
get out there and share it. And so that's how the blogging came to be. And it kind of took off from there. I began to start contacting I began to contact brands, and I began to contact publications and see if they would be open to me writing. And, and it worked out. And so I do write about special needs for Chicago Parent Magazine, and I do write for the Abilities Expo. I write for their blog, and that's just kind of how it's been. And it's worked out, and it works for my schedule, and it works for me. I really love writing, and so here I am.
So one of the things that I'm mindful of right now that I think is really important, that I think you can help share and give perspective on, is there's a lot of people who are losing their jobs, who are in transition. We're not sure if your job is going to be there when the economy recovers. And so we're at home, we're all at home, and we have our kids with us too. This is the first time where those who aren't used to having our kids with us all the time, 100%, now we are, and everybody's in the same house, and it's really hard to focus. It's really hard to get the distractions keep them at bay, and to say, I actually do want to focus on this project or this craft. What were some strategies that you used when you were starting out that helped you keep that focus and kind of keep that separation, because you always had the kids with you in any of your projects that you started, right? You didn't have an office to go to. You didn't have a team of people to consult with outside of the home. So I think everybody's kind of like in your position right now of, I'm at home, I want to do something, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I have a calling, or I have a skill. Maybe I'm good at writing, maybe I'm good at speaking, maybe I'm good at analyst, being analytical, whatever that skill may be.
Right.
How can they develop that with kids at home?
So it takes a learning curve. You have to be patient with yourself, give yourself grace, and planning is going to be the biggest piece of it. And sticking to the plan is the hardest piece of it, because you can come out with this wonderful plan, have everything looking really nice in your happy planner, right? But then you have to stick to it. And that's the hardest part. So for me, time blocking was very important for me, making sure that I carved out specific times of the day where I did specific things so that it wouldn't interfere with the kids. And then if things did interfere with the kids, sometimes it was just like a grind. It's a grind, and so I just got to push through it.
Like now, like we have our call, and
exactly.
Kids are running mayhem. Lewis is supposed to be watching now.
Yes, but he's literally on a call right now.
Yeah. Oh,
that went over, and it happens, right? He was supposed to be
they're watching themselves.
Yeah, they're literally raising themselves right now. But I would say, you have to really do some time blocking, really assess kind of what these strengths are that you have, what it is that you want to do, and try to figure out a way how you can make this coexist with your current setup. So sometimes, it may be a situation where it's like, okay, let's say I want to go back to school. And so for me, it was like, okay, how can I go back to school with my current situation? I have 4 kids, and people don't know I have a baby on the way. So how can I make this work so that it works efficiently, effectively within the ecosystem of my house? And so for me, it was like, okay, it's all about controlling the things that you can control. Well, I can control whether or not I go to an on-campus school or an online school. So, okay, I'm gonna choose for an online school because that makes more sense. It's fitting for my situation. It doesn't mean that I don't have an interest, but this is what's gonna work. This is what's gonna get
this works. Yeah.
So it's about what can you do to get the job done? Even if it means you have to wake up an hour early before the kids. I try to wake up early before the kids so that I can pray. That is a thing, that's a practice that I have. So if you want to, use that as it pertains to your business, wake up an hour early, take care of some emails, or, write some pitches, or, do some editing, that kind of thing. Wake up an hour before the kids.
Okay. What time do you wake up?
So sometimes now it literally varies. It depends. But on an average, I would say I wake up about 6:37.
And then when you were starting, like the grind of getting everything started, did you still start at 7?
Yeah, so I was starting like 6.
And then what do you do when you wake up and you pray, right? Like, what do you pray for?
So I have a whole practice. I have a whole
Can you share that with me?
yeah. So I have a whole prayer space. It's considered a sacred space. Some people call it an altar, but literally there's candles, there's Bibles, there's some affirmations, and so I'll walk you through it. I light the candles. I start praying. I thank
This
God.
is a place in your house,
Yes, yes.
like a room.
It's in my room, but it's a table, and so I have
Okay.
it all set up.
So you get up and you're like, oh,
Yeah, and I'm
and
like,
then you go to the table.
yeah, and I'm like, let me go over there, let me pray. But when you think about it, when it's like, oh, let me pray, you're like, wait, I shouldn't think like that. Okay, I feel bad. I shouldn't feel like, oh, I don't feel like praying. That's not a good way to think about it. So it kind of gets you in check really quick.
Okay.
So I go to the table. I light the candles. I thank God for a new day. I pray that this day goes well. I'm praying about the coronavirus. I'm praying about my family, just all these different things that's on my mind. From there, I actually have these affirmation cards. And so people think they're tarot cards, but they're not. They're not tarot at all. I swish them around and I close my eyes. I pray over the cards.
What does Lewis say about all of it?
At first, when he first saw it, he was just like,
wait a minute.
all right, whatever. That's E doing.
Is
whatever.
Lewis spiritual? I don't know if he's spiritual. Is he?
He's not spiritual like I am. No. He's just like, okay, good.
Oh, you just do what you need to do.
Do your thing. If that's what you need to do, do your thing. But he'll walk in,
no judgment.
Yeah, he'll tip in and he's like,
I ain't pissing her off.
But yeah, so I have these cards laid out, and then wherever I feel like the most energy is pulling me to that card. I can't see what the affirmation is, but wherever it's pulling me to, I flip over that card. And whatever that card is, I use that to set the intent for the rest of my day. So I see that card, I read that card, and then I write down my intent for the day, which works really, really well. And I use it based on that card. And it's kind of a form of journaling as well. So I use that card as kind of, maybe you could say it's like a journal prompt.
Yeah.
So I use that, and it helps kind of gets me in a good place, because I think so often as women and moms, we wake up in a frenzy. We wake up and it's like, I got to do this, I got to do that. And you literally have started your day stressed out. And I wanted to stop that. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So that's where doing this came into play. More of an organized practice, because, okay, you wake up, you pray, and then, you kind of go about your day. But I wanted to be a lot more intentional about it, because I just want to feel a lot more grounded. And so,
in control of your own day.
Yes. And so that's what it gave me. But my space, it has like plants, and it has books, things that inspire me, things that are pleasant to look at. And that's how I do it.
And what inspires you? Like, what are those things that, like, this feeds me, this nourishes me, this inspires me?
So I love seeing other women doing great things, phenomenal things. Like, that pushes me, that inspires me. My kids inspire me. I know it sounds cliche, but I was a teen mom, and so I just think about my progression over the years, where I came from and where I am now as being a mom. Coming from being 17 and pregnant, and now I'm almost 35. A lot has happened within that time. And so they inspire me to be better, do better. And it doesn't help that I have 4 girls. And so living in this world today, 4 girls is, it's a big deal. You're raising 4 women. And so, it's important that they can look at me as a reference. They can cite me as a source in their life story. And so it's important that I do my due diligence and do and be as best as I possibly can. And so they truly do. They inspire me. And then, my husband and my mom, they're like my little, they're my cheerleaders. So they're like, you can do it. Just don't focus on them. Don't think about those other people. Do your thing. And so that's what I do. I run my race, and that's how I focus. That is what fills me up. And I love reading. This is a fraction of books. Like,
I know. I've been to your house. What are some mom truths that like, this is a mom truth?
Mom truth is, even though I'm sitting here doing this podcast, right? I'm thinking about what my kids are doing. Did they eat enough? They have to get in the tub. I'm thinking about all the things I need to do. I'm thinking about, okay, how could I have done this better? How can I have said this better? Even though I'm sitting here like, and I'm focused on this and I'm doing this.
Yeah, in your mind.
my mind is thinking about a lot of different things. And so that's a mom truth. Mom truth is being unapologetically yourself. Mom truth is it's okay to be tired. It's okay to be mad. Like that is okay. Don't feel bad about that. It's okay if you forgot to pack the lunch. That's okay.
Okay, when your kids forget their lunch, do you go take it to their school?
So sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. And I do that because I want to keep them on their toes and to know that not every time.
Mom ain't gonna bail you out.
Yeah. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's literally at my discretion, and it's not because I'm being mean, but I want to let you know that you got yourself in this situation, so you need to figure out how to get yourself out. Now, I do know that my kids' school gave them a lunch, and all I do is pay for it. But the point is that you have to take ownership and responsibility, and I am heavy on that. My kids don't get an easy pass. I am like, no, I did school already. This is your thing. I did that. So
what is it that is most important for you to teach your daughters as a mom?
So it's important that they're resilient. It's important that they use their voice. I'm all about using your voice because if you don't use your voice, people will step all over you. You won't be heard for those things that you feel are important. And so that for me is huge. And so that's why I'm very vocal about things. I don't hold my breath when it comes to things. If I'm passionate about it, or if I have whatever my perspective is, I share it, I let it be known, and I like for them to see that because I think it's important for them to see that. I don't shy away from the fact that I am a stay-at-home mom, but I also drive in those key points of what being a stay-at-home mom really is. It doesn't mean that your dad gets to walk all over me and he makes decisions and I just follow whatever he says. No, we still operate as a team. These are the sacrifices I've made to stay at home. So even though I'm staying at home, I could be going to my corporate career, my corporate job, but I decided that I wanted to stay at home because guess what? I wanted to be present for you guys. I wanted to be there for you guys. I want to be able to help you along the way as you grow up. And so for me, I really want them to know just the importance and the integrity that comes behind being a woman, using your voice, standing up for what you believe in, and just owning your truth. I think that's that those kind of things are invaluable, and I don't want them to be. I don't want to say weak because that's not the proper term, but I don't want them to be very feeble,
Yeah.
in how they move about and take up space in this world.
You want them to take up space in this world.
I want that. Yes, I want them to be strong, and I want when you walk in the room, I want people to know that you mean business and you're not a pushover. And so that's what's really important for me, for them to see. And the best way for them to get that is for me to model that behavior. And so that's why I do what I do, and hopefully it rubs off.
What are you most proud of when you think about your family, think about the career you built? What are you most proud of to this point?
That's hard, Andrea, because I am probably the least self-absorbed person. And when I do things, it's kind of like, yeah, I did it. And I kind of like move away from it. But owning what I have done, I think I'm most proud of taking my daughter to college with me, completing college on time, and graduating from high school early. I think that it's important that I do highlight that. I share that. It's a huge part of my story and my journey, and so I think that that's commendable considering, the trajectories that are set forth if you are a teen mom, and especially if you're African American, and then especially if you're not married. And
okay, can we go there? Can you set that stage for us? Because I know exactly. I wasn't at high school. I was freshman in college. Mm-hmm. And when I tell this story to other people, sometimes you get the blank stare, and sometimes people don't always understand like what that means. So if you can walk us back, you're in high school, you get pregnant, you find out you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Your black kind of school. So if you could just walk us through that, like what kind of school you went through, and where your mind was, and then how you were able to find resilience through it.
Yes. So when I found out I was pregnant, it was early in the pregnancy. I had missed my cycle, and so I'm like, oh, I think I'm pregnant. And so here I am, 17 years old, and I am a senior in high school. But it's like the beginning of the school year. It was about October. No, it was November. It was November when I found out. And it was during the Thanksgiving break when I took the test. So I told my cousin, and then my cousin told my aunt. And my aunt, which is my mom's sister, was like, okay, I know. And if you don't, I'm going to give you, and so she gave me a certain amount of time to tell my mom. And so she was just like, if you don't tell her by Sunday, I'm going to tell her. So mind you, the Thanksgiving break is like that Thursday through Sunday. So I'm like, how do you do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, be honest. As a 17, how do you say, hey, mom? Like, how do you even say it? You know? And so I decided, tell her. That's what I decided. You tell her. You tell her, and then she comes to me, and then we have the conversation.
Oh, you had the auntie do it?
Yeah, I said, you tell her. Because I don't know how to.
I don't want to do it.
How do I even say it, Mom? Like, I didn't even know how to say it. So it was awful, 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 awful. My mom, my family, completely disappointed. Because like, Ericka, no, not Ericka.
Not Ericka. Was your mom a teenage mom?
No, she was pregnant at, I think when she had me, she was 20.
So so this was new for her.
Yeah, it was new for her. I'm her only child. And so it's like, your only child? You know, so I'm the only child. I get pregnant. I'm still in high school. I'm 17. And then there's this thing that we do as parents where, you know, we feel that our children, what our children do is a reflection of us. So, you know, of course, it's like, so now people are going to think they're going to think all these things about me because of what you did. And so that was something we had to get through. And it really sucked. It really sucked because when you think about it, you're wearing your sins on your sleeve, and it, you know, people see you. There's a lot of embarrassment. Oh my gosh, embarrassment is awful. You know, as soon as the stomach pokes out and people are looking, really your family, the outside world was like, whatever, they don't know me, but my family, and you know how it is. You know, when you have a close family, you guys get together a lot. You know, it's definitely
it's there. It's there.
You can't hide it, you know? And so it was very embarrassing. And the odds were definitely stacked up against me. You know, I don't have a father in my life. I'm pregnant. I'm 17 and pregnant. I'm Black. I'm in a minority. I live in a minority-driven community with African Americans and Latinos, and so you know I have this whole thing where this is how they do. This is what they do, and I know that that's what people, you know,
the stereotype.
That's the stereotype. But I chose to again stay laser focused. I knew I still wanted to go to college. I did have people say, "How are you going to go to college now?" Because I talked up college a lot. You know, that was always a part of my plan. And so, yes, a lot of people were like, how are you going to go to college? You know, how are you going to do it? And so for me, and probably even still to this day, I'm the same way, but it's like, I'm not a person of many words. I'm just going to do it. And so that's what I chose to do. I looked into everything. I figured it all out. And I graduated from high school a semester early. When I graduated in January, I started college in March with my belly, and I started in March. I took my classes. I went to school over the summer. I had my baby in July, which was perfect because 6 weeks later is when school started again. I stayed at the junior college for another 2 semesters, and then I went to the 4-year school, and I found a school that had family housing, that had daycare on campus, and I was like, this is where I'm going. They were like, wait, what? You're going where? And they're like, so what about this and what about that? And I was like, this and that and this, and like every question that they had for me, I had an answer. And so I knew that was going to be important, and so that's how I did it. But I can tell you, it was not easy. It was not easy at all because I was still working when I was in college. I had internships in college, so I did have to depend on my support system a lot. You know, being my mom, my daughter's dad, his mom, but everyone was very supportive, and it ended up working out. But it definitely was not easy. I mean, I still had to study, but I still had a baby, and I still had to take her to like daycare, and you know, I still had to care for her. And then I was kind of social on campus, and so I had to figure out how can both of these coexist. And so I approached it like, this is me, guys. Hi, I'm Ericka. I have a 2-year-old. That's it. Like, this is me. This is what I come with. This is my situation. And I just had to own my truth. And that's my advice to, like everyone and all women, like own your truth and just use it to really inspire the next woman or the young girl behind you, because those stories matter. And those stories are really what really help, it helps one another. And for me, that's important.
I will tell you, that was how I was able to get through. Was I was in a freshman year of college, and I know exactly what you mean, the stigma. And I grew up, my mom was religious, and I grew up Christian. She didn't believe in, we didn't talk about sex or birth control. It wasn't something that, it was a conversation that was almost like you just don't have.
Yeah.
And when you're in college and, like hormones are crazy. And I just remember me and John got pregnant. I go away to college and I come back my freshman year pregnant. I'm like, shit. And no one even knew, I knew him. We met from different schools. I was considering an abortion, and I have nothing against abortions. Yeah. Actually, I'm actually a proponent of abortions. If anyone is curious, don't come for me, you people.
Yeah. Don't come for her, because I am for them too, you guys. I think women have the right to
just have your own opinion. I'm just stating mine. But at that time, I was thinking it, and I remember it was the summer. That's when I found out I was pregnant. It was in July, around my birthday. I was 18 years old, and I'm thinking I have to drop out of school. I have to drop out. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. I don't know. I have no plan. I don't even know if I want to keep this child. Mm-hmm. And I decided, I don't know what made me decide, but I decided to keep the child. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, all right. So I go to the public aid place that same day after, I'm like, I need public aid. I need to survive. Yeah. So I go get public aid so I can get Medicare, so I can go to the doctor. And then that was the day I went to my mom. And that day I went to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I'm pregnant. I have Medicaid, so I know that me and the baby have insurance, at least right now. Mm-hmm. And I have my little part-time job at JCPenney. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to continue school, but I don't know what I'm going to do with school, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish. And she was just like, she was just crazy, but it turned out well. She was supportive.
Yeah.
The next day was the day I had to figure out what I'm going to do at school. And I'm like, all right, I might quit. I might drop out. I think I'm going to have to drop out, because I'm not having my mom pay for my child. So I'm going to go get a job. This is what I knew at that time. I'm going to do what my mom did, because my mom was a single mom. I'm going to go get a job. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make sure that the baby's delivered healthy, and I'm going to figure it out. We'll just figure it out, but school's not going to be the way right now. I don't have the time to go to school. I call up the vice president of the school, because I needed her permission to drop my courses, all of my courses or something like that. Long story short, I go to Lori Heyman's office. And I'm walking in, and I'm going to disenroll from college and stop, because I don't have the ability to do it. I'm pregnant. I don't know any other route other than going to work. And she looks at me, and after I tell her the thing, I'm basically almost crying now.
Yeah.
And she's like, Andrea, you will not drop out of college. You can do this. Oh, wow. She's like, and you will do this. She's like, do you want to know why? And I said, why?
You're crying like, why?
She'll ugly cry too. And she's like, and then she literally turns around. Right here, there's a picture of her son. He's a handsome 20-year-old or, adult. Mm-hmm. She's like, this is my son. And when I was in school, I was pregnant with him.
Oh, wow.
She's like, and I didn't give up, and you won't either. Wow. And I'm like, what? Like, first of all, like,
that's important you share your story, because had she not shared that could have changed the trajectory of your life, and you may not even,
It did change the trajectory of my life, because that was the moment when I realized, and in her position, because at that time, like, you're a vice president.
That's big.
Of a college, like and you're right, and you're well-to-do, you're successful, you're everything you kind of want to be, right? Mm-hmm. And you have the same story.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I would have never known that And that was the moment that I realized, we can do this.
Yeah.
We can do this.
Right, like, wait, this is an option?
That's an option?
I didn't know this was an option. And that's
Yes.
because we come from a place where people, one, don't share their stories, two, aren't open and don't see anything further the fact that you're pregnant. For some reason, pregnancy equates, handicap, and you can't do it, which is so crazy because then they expect you to, when you go into the workforce, they expect you to work until you're due, okay? So it's amazing how this thing changes for women, which I'm very passionate about women and women's rights, because here it is, pregnancy, you can't even finish college, but then pregnancy and you're an adult, you're going to stay at this job and you're going to stay here until you are damn near delivering at the job. And that's expected of you. And so that's a phenomenal story. I'm so glad she owned up and shared that, because a lot of people would not. And she didn't.
A lot of people would not, and she didn't have to. And so, to your point, it's only because of the fact that there was someone else who did it, who didn't quit before me, and who had, I would say, the availability. She was accessible, she was available, and she took an interest in me. She took time. She didn't have to have me go to her office that day. I don't know if she cleared her schedule or not to meet me. It doesn't matter. I met her that day. If I didn't go to her office that day, I guarantee you, I don't know if my life, where I would be right now. Not giving her sole credit for how my life, but that is truly one of those pivotal moments of, this is an option. And it's not a bad option. This is actually a phenomenal option, and you can do really well. And this isn't the end of your story. It's just the beginning.
Yeah, and she spoke life into you. And I think that was very pivotal, because when you think about it, it's like, here it is, you're coming in here and you have this I can't do, I'm not gonna do, there's no way I can do attitude. And then she literally spoke life into you and literally changed your mindset. And that's just incredible. That's incredible to get that.
So moving on though. So now Mom, you're owning it, you're going to school, and now you have a beautiful family and you have a beautiful career. What is next for you?
So I'm shopping doctoral programs, and you guys are hearing it first here. I'm shopping programs.
For what? What?
To get a doctorate in business. And so I haven't decided what my focus is going to be, like it's going to be leadership or, I haven't decided that piece yet. It's going to depend on the program. But what's next is, doing that thing. So going back to school, which some people are going to be like, what is wrong with her? But that's what's next for me. And, still growing my blog, continuously spreading my truth. I'm doing a lot of things digitally. So, the podcast, I really want to get that, continue to get that out. And, hopefully more speaking engagements and things like that. But I'm definitely focused on, school, for college again for me, college for my soon-to-be junior. And so that's big right now. This is because all these things are going on with the coronavirus. And so it's changing up our plan a little bit. So we're thinking about, schools, and, there's been a change with ACT and SAT. And so we're really just trying to figure that all out. But that's what's next for me: shopping doctoral programs, shopping undergrad programs for my daughter or with her, and just still growing my business. And so that's where I am.
Okay. Before we end.
Yes.
Who are the people in your life
Mm-hmm.
who have influenced you the most? Who are the pivotal people, the helpers or the guiders or shapers in your life that, like Lori Heyman and mine, they were there for you, either good or bad, and they made you who you are? Can you give me one or two of those people?
Oh my gosh. So this is going to be very hard because I have like three. Okay. So
okay, three is good. Let's go with three.
First, I'm going to start with, of course, my mom and my grandmother. I've grown up in the house with my grandmother most of my life, besides about a 7-year gap when my mom was married. So my grandmother is huge because she's just a very non-confrontational person. Whenever she speaks her piece, she speaks her piece. She's not hollering, she's not screaming, she says it and done. And so I think I've kind of taken on that a little bit. I'm not screaming my piece. and that's it. And so, she's been a huge encourager of mine. She just very positive. My mom, even though my mom is kind of very strict in a way. My mom keeps me on my toes, and I do appreciate that. She keeps me on my toes. She makes sure I'm thinking. And so when it pertains to my mom, she really gives me that energy I need to get my engine going, because I know she's going to be like, so what about this? And what about that? Did you do this? Did you do that?
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that.
She's mom.
I need that. And then finally, it would be my late great aunt. Her name was Charlotte. And so my Aunt Charlotte was a stay-at-home mom. She is the mother of my cousin that had cerebral palsy. And that was the first woman that I seen as a stay-at-home mom. And she did it with so much grace, and she did it with so much class. And she was religious, but she was a Jehovah's Witness, which was fine. But I really took a liking to how spiritual she was, how much she had such a love for her spirituality, her children, how she cared for her family, and how she was just like a ride or die for her family. Like, there's nothing you can tell her about her family. She's going to get it done. Even with my cousin that has the special needs, that was back when it's very hard to get these services and things like that. I mean, and she was on it. She was writing the state, and she was writing letters to the politicians, and she was doing that thing. And so growing up seeing that, I was like, yes. That right there, she makes it happen. And she did. She she did it with so much class and so much grace, and she wasn't hollering. She had a elaborate vocabulary, and I loved how she did life and how she did it so gracefully, with her apron on in the kitchen and cooking her meals. I swear our lives are very close.
Oh, so, when you're describing her, I think you. When so you describe her, I envision you. You are her now. At least,
yeah, exactly. Like in my family, like, oh my gosh, you act just like her. And even her kids, she has 4 daughters, and so they say that all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, you act just like her. And it's not even on purpose, which is funny. I just appreciate it and liked what I saw growing up. But they're like, oh my gosh, you act just like her. And so my Aunt Charlotte, my grandmother, and my mom are definitely the 3 women that really kind of molded me to who I am today.
Wow. And the world would miss out if you were not, able to benefit from their lessons.
Thank you.
And their lives.
Thank you.
Really quick, just tell the audience where they can find you online for your podcast, and where they can look out for the work that you do with Ready Imaging.
Yes. So my podcast is Sinking Heels of Motherhood. It's on like 7 different platforms. So it's on Apple and Google and Anchor, and anywhere you can find a podcast, it should be there. And then for my blog and all that, mommy blog, that sort of thing, it's sinkingheelsofmotherhood.com. And I am Sinking Heels of Motherhood on Instagram. And then for my business, it is Ready Image on Instagram. And that's how you can find me. I'm pretty reachable, you guys. Like
you're out there.
I'm in touch.
Just Google Ericka Polanco-Webb, and you will find her. Yes. But the podcast is your newest project, and that one just launched this week.
Yes,
right.
I'm excited about it because my approach to my podcast is basically an audio version of my blog. I understand that sometimes people don't have time to read. And so I wanted to reach that mom that's busy, that's in the kitchen, that's cooking, who has kids, and she's doing this and she's doing that, but she doesn't have time to really pick up something, pick up her phone or her tablet and like read. And so I wanted to have the podcast as like a spinoff of my blog. And so that's what I've done with that. So my goal is to keep it under 10 minutes and under. That's for each podcast. Yes.
And, how did you how did you learn how to get involved in everything? And start your website, build your brand, start the actual podcast, get into the technology aspect of it, because technology plays a huge factor right now in the way that you're able to market, the way that you're able to reach your audience, the way that you're able to grow your businesses. How did you do that part?
self-taught, you guys. Self-taught. I taught myself how to create my website. I taught myself about this whole podcast piece. I taught myself all of it. This is not what I went to school for.
Yeah, because they couldn't even teach this when we went to school
yet.
This
was not available. This was not available. So I self-taught. I figure I'll try it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. YouTube, thank God for YouTube, because there's a lot of tutorials and things like that, but definitely self-taught. There's no one did anything for me. Luckily, my husband is in technology, so if I had a question about something, he can help me. But for the most part, it was just me.
And what is the self-talk that you give yourself when you put something out there? You're like, man, I don't know if this is gonna be good. I don't know if anybody's gonna like it. I know I go through these moments.
Yeah.
I'm sure you go through these moments. What do you tell yourself?
Every single time. I'm nervous every single time. I have released over 200 blog posts, and I'm nervous every single time. And I click publish and I walk away. Literally, I get up and I walk away, or I put my laptop down and I walk away. And I just say, this is you. This is your truth. God knows my heart. He knows my intent behind it. And so it's done.
How do you deal with judgment?
Oh my gosh. Because I've been judged like my entire life.
Do you get a lot of judgment from stuff that you write or things that you do?
I don't get a lot of judgment. And sometimes I wonder if I don't get a lot. And if people do judge me, I think they probably say it underneath their breath, or they just like, I'm not going to take an interest in her, that kind of thing. But I have dealt with judgment all my life. And so, this would be nothing different. It doesn't mean that it doesn't get irritating and that kind of thing, but I'm running my race. I'm living in my truth, living out my purpose. And so I just find comfort in that, because if I do allow myself to operate in the capacity of judgment, then I'm not going to get anything done. And so that's not being productive. So I have to block it out. And it's not easy. It's easier now, but it's not always easy, especially if you're just getting into this thing and, you're afraid of the judgment and things that people are going to say. But my advice is just to find comfort in knowing that you're living your truth, you're living out your purpose, you're doing something you absolutely love and enjoy. And, you're not for everybody. And that's really what it is. You're not for everybody. And I'm okay that I'm not for everybody. That's actually good. I don't want to be for everybody, and so for those that find what I do, or my pieces that I write, things that I put out there, I'm for those people. I'm for those women. And that's okay with me.
I love that about you, Ericka.
When you put yourself out there, it's very vulnerable. It's a vulnerable thing to put yourself out there. And I don't think people really realize how vulnerable it is for you to create something and put it out there and like hope people like it.
Yeah.
And then look at the metrics and see nobody viewed it.
No likes, no shares.
That can be a lot. But I tell myself that what I'm doing is not for the likes or the shares, and so it's okay if there's people that don't like or share your things, because guess what? At the end of the day, they're still watching. And eventually, once it catches on like popcorn, then they'll try to jump on the wagon. And so, the most important thing, I have what I call a fairy godmother, and she's a phenomenal, she's a spiritual mom. I just call her fairy godmother. And so she speaks life into me from a spiritual standpoint, and everything that I have done, she has spoken. And she was like, remember that time? And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you were right. But I say that to say that, have someone in your corner to speak to you spiritually, to be able to fill you up, so that you can focus and so that you can block out all the chatter, because, you are not here for the likes and the shares. That's something new, and it's just a phase, and just know that you're doing it out of a good place. And that's the capacity I operate.
Well, thank you, Ericka. Thank you for joining. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening to Tuesdays with Andrea. There are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I appreciate you making the time to listen to mine. If you like this show and want to know more, check out TuesdaysWithAndrea.com, or please leave a review on iTunes or drop a line in the YouTube comments section. Until next time, please stay kind in your mind, nice on the web, and stay hella hopeful in your heart.